All right, week 4 of the Diddy trial is underway in New York. Diddy's former personal assistant, Mia, is back on the stand for a third day being cross-examined. So far, she testified about 8 grueling years working for Diddy, describing the atmosphere as, quote, chaotic, drug-fueled, and violent. Even President Trump weighing in on Diddy last week. He was asked if he would consider pardoning him if he's found guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking. Watch.
Nobody's asked, but I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years.
All right, that's President Trump. He went on to say, if I think somebody was mistreated, he said, whether they like me or don't like me, it would not have any impact on me. We want to bring in Mackenzie Joy Brennan right now. She's trial attorney and Reuters News legal affairs analyst. Mackenzie, good morning to you. Thanks for being with us. You know, last week was another week of explosive testimony. Mia is back on the stand right now being cross-examined by Diddy's lawyers, moments ago testifying about the violence, the abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse she said that she experienced while she was employed. What else do you expect her to add or answer today, this week?
Well, Brian Steele, the defense attorney who's been questioning her, has really been hammering her as if this were a traditional sexual assault case. And now the defense has been very clear that this is not a sexual assault case, that this is a sex trafficking and racketeering case, but they're really going after her credibility. How could you be positive on social media? How could you send sympathies after Kim Porter's death to Diddy? Doesn't that make you a liar? And it's an aggressive tactic to take with somebody who has testified to being diagnosed with PTSD, who is a suicide risk. We'll see if this pays off for the defense, but this morning we already heard a couple of striking stories. One was Mia's dream that she texted Diddy about, that she was in an elevator with R. Kelly, which is kind of ironic because he's another musician who was convicted under the RICO statute, which is kind of a new application of the statute and a really similar one to what we're seeing Diddy charged under. But that to me fits so much the structure of an abusive relationship, that this isn't just your average bad boss dynamic. This is, like you were saying, somebody who allegedly sexually assaulted her. They brought up charges of forced labor, that she was not allowed to go home. She wasn't allowed to use the restroom without permission. She was isolated from all of her family. So, this is an industry giant who is also personally allegedly abusive. So a lot of us who are picturing, I wouldn't have stayed with my bad boss who did XYZ. This is in a different caliber.
Yeah, a different caliber in terms of the testimony that we have heard. In just about anything else. You know, you've been inside the courtroom. I understand that. You're seeing these people as they take the stand. I'm wondering what her demeanor is like. And I'm also wondering about the security guard who's expected to take the stand later today. He was granted immunity by the judge. Your reaction to that, and what do you believe we'll hear from him? But let's start with Mia's demeanor, because what she is describing is no doubt traumatic events that she says happened.
Yes, and she even testified on direct that she planned to take the stories of the sexual assault to her grave. She did not want to tell anybody, and it's very, very clear that she's still processing that. In direct, she was breaking down at times. I think the defense in their cross has kind of perpetuated this myth that if you are suffering through the aftermath of something like this, you're always distraught. But there are good moments, there are composed moments. In fact, she's been pretty strong on cross. She said, I would not lie to this court. I have not lied. But yeah, there are ups and downs for any victim. Now, moving to the security guard that you mentioned, that'll be really interesting to listen to. At the beginning of today, we heard a little procedural bit that allowed him immunity. He asserted his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination, which leads me to believe that he probably saw the events that are reflected in that video of Diddy and Cassie in the hotel. Oh yes, right there. And likely, despite the fact that he is a security guard, did not intervene. So I'm wondering if that is what he's worried about incriminating himself on.
Yeah, I wonder if he was the security guard that you could see later on in the video who was in the hallway. It'll be interesting to see exactly how his testimony plays into that video, like you said, and what happened. Mackenzie, such great insight. We will continue to watch it and keep our viewers updated. We appreciate your time this morning.